When you work with data acquisition equipment enough, a trend starts to develop. You hook up your equipment, plug in your sensors, and then start the test, and you expect some results. Now, if something comes up that you don't expect, 9 out of 10 times, it's because you plugged in something wrong. But if you work through all the process, you make sure everything's right, that 1 out of 10 chance means that there's a result that you didn't expect. And that's super exciting, and we're seeing that in the CRX right now. So let's jump in the car and I'll show you exactly what I'm talking about. My name's Eric, and this is Dirty Elbows Garage.
We're in the CRX now. I just drove forward, came to a complete stop, let my foot off the brake, and then zeroed out the DAC system. And as you can see below, it's reading about 1 or 2 microstrain kind of bouncing around. We're around 25 seconds right now. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to drive forward and then come to a stop in the same way. You're going to see the values change as I move forward, and then they're going to return back to 0. So I'm accelerating forward. And stopping. Okay. So you see a little bit of residual microstrain in there, about 6 or 7, around 8. Now here's the thing, if I put the car in reverse, and I bring it to a stop, okay, let my foot off the brake, you can see that a residual microstrain, you can see that our microstrain is stuck right around negative 25 or so. Okay, so I just brought the car to a stop after going into reverse and let my foot off the brake, and you can see that we're up around 25 or negative 25 microstrain. So we didn't return to 0. We returned to 0 when we went forward and came to a stop, but we didn't return to 0 when we went backwards and came to a stop. So what's going on? Well, let's head back to a shop and talk about it.
So what's causing the values to do what you just saw? Well, I've got a hand-drawn CRX right here. I'm actually really proud of this hand-drawn CRX. I've got a forward direction, rear direction. I've got the chassis. If you're moving the car in a forward direction, okay, you're going that way, and you apply the brakes. Well, the brakes up here in the front are going to resist that momentum, slowing down the car, but the chassis still wants to go forward. So what's happening is the wheel or the suspension is actually shifting rearward as the car's slowing down. Now, you get going again, you step on the brakes, it goes right back in the same spot as long as you step on the brakes with the same amount of force. But if you put the car in reverse and you're moving the car backwards, okay, and then you step on the brakes again, and the brakes are resisting that movement, causing the wheels to shift forward relative to the car. Okay, and that's kind of an outline right there. So there's actually play in the suspension causing the wheels to move relative to the chassis even after you're off the brakes, even after you're sitting still, depending on which way the chassis wanted to go relative to the wheels. Now, I'm probably not the first person that's ran into this, but because I haven't heard about it or seen about it anywhere else, I'm gonna go ahead and call this suspension backlash. Now, what is backlash? Well, backlash in mechanical terms is the play between 2 gears. So essentially what it means is that your direction dictates your stopping point because there's play in the system. If you're going forward in one direction, it's going to land on a certain spot. And if you try and go in reverse, there's this dead zone where nothing really happens. The position being dependent on the direction that you're going kind of describes what's happening here. The wheels are going to get offset depending on what the last load you put in the system was. Now, does this mean that I can't use my DAC to actually measure what the car is seeing? No, not necessarily. What it means is that whenever I zero a test, that data set can only be compared to itself. I can't run it again and compare it to another data set if I reset the 0. The 0 is only going to be good for that current position. I can compare percentage of gains between one data set and another data set, and that will still reflect accuracy and the improvements of the car. And the last thing I want to talk about is where's this all coming from? Well, I think it's from the bushings. I think the bushings are actually allowing the suspension to have enough play that they're actually shifting relative to the chassis and kind of building in this load into the suspension. So next up on the CRX is a new set of bushings. I've already got them in, I just need to do the work, and we're gonna repeat this test and see what happens. If you wanna let me know your best guess of what the new bushings are gonna do to the data set, let me know in the comments below. If you enjoyed watching, like, subscribe, all that good stuff. And as always, thanks for watching.